Hey, Mike Callahan here. I had a question submitted. It's asked probably at least once a week. So I wanted to actually get in here and dive into how we track our profits on a daily basis and then go in and run job cost reports to make sure we're making money in each and every job at least twice a year to raise those prices up to make sure we're hitting the goals that we need to hit. So the first thing I need to dive into is a sheet that we use. We call it our KPI sheet. And this KPI sheet is instrumental to what we do here. So I'm going to actually pull the screen down here so you can see it. And basically the KPI sheet, what is it's going to cover is the time off your dispatch board in Service Autopilot, or if you're not using Service Autopilot, we've got a way to track this in the sheet here to track your budgeted versus actual man hours. So even if you're not using Service Autopilot, this is a great way to start. If you're using Service Autopilot, you're going to drive some of these numbers here. So as we dive into this is what we're tracking on a daily basis per crew. So the number 18 here, if we were in here and we said we plugged in and off our dispatch board, the total time budgeted for crew number 1 was 20 hours to get it done. So that was a 2-man crew that was budgeted for 20 hours. So 20 hours divided by 2 is 10 man hours total. So it's a 10-hour day. We're going to plug in our start time here is 7 a.m. Stop time is 5 p.m. Total hours on the job was 10 hours and a half-hour lunch. We put the crew members' names in and put the number of crew people on here. So what the sheet does, it automatically calculates your gross hours here of 20, lunch of an hour, and subtracts it out. So the total gross payroll hours is 19 hours. Budgeted hours were 20, so it took us 19 hours to do 20 hours worth of work. We were under budget for 1 hour. You'll notice the percentage of budget here is 105%. So anything above 100 is good. The guys are giving or girls are giving more than 100%. We changed this budgeted time down to 18, and it took us 19 hours to do it. That means we're 1 hour over budget. So you can see this number now drives down below 100%. So it's a really easy way to explain to the crews that, hey, you weren't giving 100%. You didn't hit your goal. So under 100% is bad because you didn't beat your budgeted time. Now, if we drive this back to 19 and it's 19 hours to get the job done and we do it for 19, that's going to calculate into 100%. This is the number that we're going to put on our shop wall, dry erase board, chalkboard in the shop. So public accountability, we're going to create a production standard that's equivalent for each and every crew. So whether they were budgeted 5 hours, 100 hours that week, it's an apples to apples comparison. One thing you want to stay away from doing here is posting the actual budget hours per crew, because inevitably one crew is going to get 40 hours, the other one's going to get 50, one maybe at 45. We're going to create animosity amongst those crews. So we want to stay away from it. Keep to a percentage of budget. It's a non-emotional number. Don't fall into the mistake that we did at Callahan's. Initially, we set this up. It was a production rate thing, and that's all it was. The crew started competing. Inevitably, human nature, they started cutting corners to beat each other. The quality went down. So we had to circle back and figure out how to fix this. So what we did is a percentage on the wall with a plus or minus system behind it. Also, another cool product to throw behind this for customer feedback would be Quality Driven by Martha Woodward. But if you're using just something like this, we're going to use the percentage of budget on the wall. It's a non-emotional number. Anything from 100 and higher is good. Anything below 100 is over budget. That's not so good. And we're going to have a plus and minus system behind it for compliments, complaints. So now we have a production standard and a quality standard tied together. The team, as far as the staff and the management now are on the same path together. They're working together to put more money and production in the employees' pockets as well as the companies. And now instead of being antagonistic, we're working together as a team. So we're going to track this daily for each crew here. And then we're going to a total for each crew for the end of the week. As we scroll to the left, we've got multiple crews lined up. So we're able to track each crew daily, each crew for each week. And then on the far left-hand side, if we had filled this out here, we would have a total picture for the whole entire company. So now we have a non-emotional way to bench the budgeted versus actual time, those KPIs. This is one of the big ones, key performance indicators. And we want to have a production standard with a quality standard that we can show public accountability to each and every crew, so there's complete transparency which each crew is doing and where they're helping the company out. And one of the biggest things that we find is a lot of the 3 or 4 crews may be crushing it. They're making money for the company. We have 1 or 2 that are bleeding us dry. Well, we're looking at a high level. We're not looking at what each crew is doing specifically. This is going to force you to see those red flags and dive in and fix them before it's too late at the end of the season. You're looking back like, holy cow, what happened? Well, now it's going to force you to look at this and make sure you're getting the KPI or the budget versus actual appropriate to each crew. So that's going to dial it in. Something we added on the top of this is total expense for the month. So fictitiously, if the total expense for the month here was $450, it gives you a break even per month. Now, this is a rough break even. There's different ways of going at this. As a Moore's system and different other ways of doing that, a single multiple overhead recovery system. This is going to give you an average number. If you're heavy in design, build, or subcontracting, you want to pull those numbers out of the total expense before you put in here. But this is at least going to give you a rough benchmark of how you're breaking even each month. So historically in lawn care, it's heavy loaded for labor. If you're in home cleaning, it's probably pretty consistent. But our break even is significantly higher in the spring than it is in the middle of the end of the year. So we've got a historical benchmark going back year to year. And then on the left-hand side here, we got a total average break even for the whole entire season. That's the number we're going to use in our pricing matrix and setting up our pricing for next year. Last thing I want to show you is now we've covered each day and each week per crew. We want to go into a job costing report. So this is a little sample of a service autopilot job costing report, and I pasted it in. But what we did here is revenue total here, that $54.28 per cut is the average revenue that we acquired for each cut. So it's a $54.28 cut. You're looking at me probably, that's a little weird. Why is it 28 cents? Well, the numbers are the numbers. We don't manipulate them. I'm going to show you how they come up with these prices. Actual revenue per man hour is the start and stop time that's recorded in the service autopilot closeout day screen. It's a non-emotional number, or if you don't have service autopilot, but you wanted to use this, we have a back end of the product where you can track the start and stop times for each job, and it will get you these numbers. So as you're building your business, maybe you're not ready for service autopilot or another CRM, we give you the ability to track it here in the sheet. But to get back to the job costing report, so on average, we made $54.28 per cut here, $60.31 per cut. On average, it was $57.30. So as we scroll to the right here, we've got $60 per man hour. If that's my goal, and I'm only making $57.30, I'm making $2 and about $70 less than my goal. So what the sheet does is built in as a formula. It's going to say if your price is $54.28 and your goal per man hour is $60, you now need to charge $56.84 and increase that price non-emotionally, and I'm going to highlight non-emotionally, $2.56. So now we have a way to go in and raise the prices on the jobs that we are losing money on. But I have to laugh that sometimes I'm on different Facebook groups and industry groups that people are like, I'm raising my price $5 across the board, or percentage of $3, or percentage of $5 across the board, or a percentage. In my mind, that's crazy because I've got jobs I'm making $100 an hour on it. If my goal is only $60, I'm $40 to the good. Why would I ever touch that price as a percentage increase or a fixed dollar amount? So as we're looking at this going into the season, we really, really want to have a non-emotional way to track your start and stop times through the daily KPI. And then this job costing report here, you would literally click and drag the formulas down and it automatically does the math for you. But the cool thing is we're going to send, well, the way we do it is we actually in July and November, December, we go in and run this report. So in July, we track all the new people that came in, new customers, and Mrs. Smith that maybe added 15 trees in her backyard, and it's taking twice as long to cut the lawn. The guys didn't tell you, the girls didn't tell you on the field. Now we have a way to make sure we're making money in each and every job up through July, which is going to average out the beginning of the year. Best time to raise the price, in my opinion, there, because nobody's shopping for lawn mowing. No one's returning calls because they're too busy doing the work they're booked up from. And we're going to run it November/December to make sure we're making money in each and every job before we're going to do those contracts or run forever to the cancel. But we're going to have that price increase at that point. So I'm going to flip back to the other screen in a few minutes here to see if there's any questions, anybody watching this live. The thing I want you to take away from in this is that KPI, the key performance indicators. We want to be tracking, in my opinion at least, the daily times for each and every job with a clearly defined budgeted time for each and every job. Those are the short-term goals. And they dive into a total budgeted time like this 19 hours. So the crews have short-term goals for each job and a total number for the top. We're tracking the start and stop times in total hours, the lunch, and we're coming up with gross hours, subtracting the lunch, and having total payroll hours and a budget versus actual number, such as this 100% that we can put on the shop for public accountability with a quality standard for compliments and complaints. So we've got production, we've got quality, we've got public tie-in that's building a culture of production with quality that's driving bottom line revenue for the business and the owner. Next thing we're doing is that job costing report. We want to run this twice a year at least, whether it's lawn care or home cleaning, and we want to make sure we're making our hourly goals. So if we're shooting for $60 an hour, we're only making 57. The sheet is going to tell us to the penny, non-emotionally, that we need to raise that price $2.56. So if you're going out and trying to raise some prices for this year, I recommend going in this way, kind of the Jack Welch with GE. He always raised the bottom 10%. We actually have more of a mathematical way than that. We're going to raise just the bottom ones that aren't hitting our financial threshold and our hourly goal. So it's going to guarantee on average profits to where we need to be, and we're running our business by the numbers. In my opinion, business becomes extremely fun when we can run those numbers and it's a non-emotional benchmark. So I'm just hopping back here on the screen to see if there's any questions before I wrap this up live. But my whole point of this video is track those daily KPIs, whether you use this sheet or something of your own, but you want to be able to have the actual versus budgeted for each crew, a quality, production standard, public accountability, build a culture that drives profits with accountability for a quality standard. And we need something at least twice a year in July and November in the lawn care industry, in my opinion, to make sure we're making money in each and every job. And if we're not raising our prices by, say, $5 a cut or 3% across the board. We're raising only the ones that need to come up to retain our profitable customers, and we raise up the losers. They're not losers, but they're losers because we're losing money on them. So any comments or questions, drop below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with another tip, how to go out and crush and dominate your market with straight up bottom line profits for this upcoming season.